The nurse looked at me like I'd just told her I could fly. "Mrs. Patterson," she said slowly, setting down her clipboard, "I need you to help me understand something." I adjusted my purse on my lap, confused by her tone. "Of course. What is it?" "According to your medical records, you had a total hip replacement 4 months ago at County General Hospital. Major surgery, 6 weeks of recovery. Physical therapy. The works." I stared at her. "I'm sorry, what?" She turned her computer screen toward me. There it was, in black and white. Patient, Diane Patterson. Dob, 06/22/1955. Procedure, total hip replacement. Date, March 15th, 2024. "That's impossible," I said. "I've never had hip surgery. Look at me, I'm walking fine." And I was. I'd walked into this office without a cane, without a limp, without any pain at all. I was here for my annual checkup, nothing more. The nurse's expression shifted from confusion to concern. "Mrs. Patterson, this isn't the only procedure in your file," she scrolled down. "There's also a gallbladder removal last November, a hernia repair in August, cataract surgery in June, and," she kept scrolling, "a hysterectomy 2 years ago." My hand went to my abdomen. "I still have my gallbladder. I can see perfectly fine. And I definitely still have my uterus." The room went very quiet. "Someone," the nurse said carefully, "has been using your identity to receive medical treatment. And they've been billing it to your Medicare." She printed out the records, page after page. Surgeries I'd never had, hospital stays I'd never taken, procedures I'd never agreed to. When she handed me the stack, it was nearly 2 inches thick. "How much?" I whispered. She hesitated. "The total billed to Medicare over the past 18 months is just over $193,000. My hand started shaking. Nearly $200,000 in fraudulent medical claims. Under my name, using my Medicare number. And then I saw the signature on one of the consent forms. It wasn't my signature. But I knew that handwriting as well as I knew my own. My daughter, Rachel, had been selling my identity. And I was about to discover that medical fraud was just the beginning of what she'd done. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something. If you're watching this video, could you take a moment and leave a comment telling me where you're from? I'd love to know how far this story has reached. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, Her Side of the Story. These stories matter, and your support helps us share them with the people who need to hear them most. Now let me take you back to the beginning, so you understand how my own daughter became a criminal, and how close I came to paying for her crimes with my life. My name is Diane Patterson. I'm 69 years old, and I live in a modest 2-bedroom house in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a widow. My husband James died 7 years ago from complications of diabetes. We'd been married for 41 years, and his death left a hole in my life I'm still learning to live with. I have 2 children. My son Marcus is a physical therapist in Seattle. He's got a good job, a wonderful wife, and twin daughters who video call me every Sunday. He's always been the stable one, the responsible one. Then there's Rachel. Rachel is 43 years old, divorced, and the mother of my 10-year-old grandson, Lucas. She's always been what people politely call a free spirit. Growing up, she changed majors 4 times in college, dropped out in her senior year, and cycled through jobs like some people change clothes. She was a barista, then a yoga instructor, then tried selling essential oils, then insurance, then real estate. Nothing ever stuck. When she got divorced 6 years ago, I helped her financially. Security deposit for an apartment, first month's rent, groceries until she got back on her feet. It was supposed to be temporary, but temporary stretched into months, then years. Before I knew it, I was sending her $2,000 every month. Rent, utilities, car payment, Lucas's school expenses, groceries, gas money, everything. "Mom, I'm just between opportunities right now," she'd say. "Once I get the right position, I'll pay you back everything." I promise, I believed her. She was my daughter, and Lucas was my grandson. What kind of grandmother would I be if I let them struggle? About 3 years ago, Rachel called me excited about a new job. "Mom, I got hired at County General Hospital. Administrative work in the billing department. Good pay, benefits, everything." I was so proud of her. Finally, stability. Finally, a real career. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," I'd said. "Does this mean you won't need the monthly help anymore?" There was a pause. "Well, I still need to get through the probation period." 3 months. Can you keep helping until then? 3 months turned into 6, then a year, then 2. But I didn't mind too much because Rachel seemed genuinely happy for the first time in years. She'd talk about her coworkers, about learning the hospital systems, about how complicated medical billing was. "Mom, you wouldn't believe how much a single surgery costs," she'd tell me. "It's insane. People go bankrupt over medical bills." I thought she was just making conversation. I didn't realize she was researching how to exploit the system. Looking back now, there were signs, small things I dismissed or explained away. About 2 years ago, Rachel asked to see my Medicare card. "Mom, I'm helping a friend navigate their Medicare benefits. Can I make a copy of yours just to show them what it looks like?" I handed it over without a second thought. My own daughter. Why would I question it? A few months later, she offered to help me organize my paperwork. "Mom, you've got Medicare statements piled up everywhere. Let me help you file them. I work with this stuff every day." She left my house with 2 years' worth of Medicare statements in a box. "I'll organize these and bring them back," she'd promised. She never did. When I asked about them, she'd say, "They're at my place. Don't worry, everything's filed safely. You don't need to look at those boring statements anyway. That's what I'm here for." Last year, Rachel started wearing her hair differently, shorter, darker, more conservative. "Professional look for the hospital," she'd explained. She bought reading glasses even though her vision was perfect. "Blue light protection," she'd said. "For the computer screens at work." She started dressing older, cardigans, sensible shoes. Less makeup. I thought she was just maturing. Finally growing up. I didn't realize she was learning to look like me. 6 months ago, Rachel insisted on updating my emergency contact information. "Mom, the hospital requires it for all employees' family members. Just in case something happens to you, they need to be able to reach me immediately." She had me sign several forms. I barely looked at them. I trusted her. One of those forms, I would later discover, was a life insurance policy. $500,000. Beneficiary, Rachel Patterson. The signature looked like mine. But I don't remember signing it. Sitting in that doctor's office with 2 inches of fraudulent medical records in my lap. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. The nurse was speaking to me. Something about contacting Medicare's fraud department, but I couldn't focus. My mind was racing through the past 3 years, seeing everything differently now. Rachel's job at the hospital. Her access to the billing system. Her interest in my Medicare card. Her organizing my statements so I never saw them. She'd been planning this for years. "Mrs. Patterson?" The nurse's voice pulled me back. "Are you okay?" "No," I said honestly. "No, I'm not okay." She handed me a phone number. "This is Medicare's fraud hotline. You need to call them immediately, and—" She hesitated. "You should probably contact the police." I drove home in a daze. Once inside my quiet house, I spread the medical records across my kitchen table and forced myself to read through them. 6 major surgeries, all at County General Hospital, where Rachel worked. All within the past 18 months. All billed to my Medicare for amounts ranging from $28,000 to $47,000. Hip replacement. 41,392 gallbladder removal. 28,847 hernia repair. 31,205 cataract surgery. 19,34 hysterectomy. 47,823 knee surgery. 20,4511 total. 193,412 had to sit down. My own daughter had stolen nearly $200,000 from Medicare using my identity. But why? She had a job, a salary. Why would she risk everything to commit fraud? That's when my phone rang. Rachel's name flashed on the screen. For a moment, I considered not answering, but I needed to hear her voice. Needed to see if I could tell if she knew I'd discovered what she'd done. "Hi, Mom," she said brightly. "Just checking in. How was your doctor's appointment?" My blood went cold. How did she know about my appointment? "It was fine," I lied. "Routine checkup. Good. Hey, Lucas has a field trip next week. They need $40. Can you Venmo it to me, even now?" Even after everything she'd done, she was still asking me for money. "Sure, sweetheart," I said. "I'll send it later." "You're the best, Mom. Love you." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the medical records on my table, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront Rachel. Not yet. I was going to find out exactly what she'd been doing, and then I was going to make sure she faced every single consequence. The Medicare fraud hotline connected me to an investigator named Kevin Chen. I explained everything, and he listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Mrs. Patterson," he finally said, "what you're describing is organized healthcare fraud. This isn't just identity theft. If your daughter was using your information to bill Medicare for procedures you didn't receive, we need to find out who actually received those procedures." "What do you mean?" "Medicare paid for 6 surgeries under your name and number. But you didn't have those surgeries." "Someone did. Your daughter either had them herself or—" He paused. "She was running a scheme." "What kind of scheme?" "We've seen cases where hospital employees with billing access will find patients who need surgery but can't afford it. They offer them a deal, pay me cash at a discount, and I'll bill it to someone else's insurance. The patient gets their surgery cheap, the fraudster pockets the cash, and the insurance gets stuck with the bill." My stomach turned. "You think Rachel was selling my identity? To people who needed surgery?" "It's possible. We need to investigate. Can you come to our office tomorrow?" The next morning, I sat in a gray government building across from Kevin Chen and an FBI agent named Sarah Williams. The FBI handles Medicare fraud cases that cross certain thresholds. Apparently, $200,000 qualified. "Mrs. Patterson," Agent Williams said, "we've pulled the records for all 6 procedures billed under your name. Each one was performed at County General Hospital. Your daughter works there, correct?" "In the billing department." "Yes. We've also pulled her bank records." She slid a paper across the table. "Over the past 18 months, she's made cash deposits totaling approximately $89,000. Small amounts, never more than $9,000 at a time, to avoid triggering federal reporting requirements." I stared at the numbers. Deposits of $4,000, $7,500, $3,200, $6,800, over and over again. "Where did this money come from?" I whispered. "That's what we need to find out." Kevin leaned forward. "We're going to subpoena the hospital records. We'll identify the actual patients who received these surgeries. And we'll find out if your daughter was working with anyone else at the hospital." Agent Williams opened a folder. "There's something else you need to know. We found a life insurance policy in your name. $500,000. Taken out 8 months ago. Beneficiary is your daughter." The room tilted. "I didn't—" "I don't remember signing that. The insurance company has a signature on file. We'll have it analyzed, but it looks like a forgery." She pulled out another document. "There's also a concerning pattern in your medical records that your daughter created." She showed me a summary. According to the fake records Rachel had built under my name, I had heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, history of falls, previous minor stroke. "I don't have any of those conditions," I said. "We know. But on paper, you look like a 70-year-old woman with multiple serious health conditions. If you died suddenly, it would look natural, expected even. The implication hit me like a physical blow. You think she's planning to kill me?" Agent Williams didn't sugarcoat it. The life insurance policy, the false medical history that makes sudden death believable, the timing. "Yes, Mrs. Patterson, we think your daughter might be planning to kill you to cover up the fraud. I want to pause here and ask you to do something for me. If this story is affecting you, if you're thinking about your own family or your own Medicare statements, please leave a comment. And if you haven't already, subscribe to her side of the story. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. These stories save lives. They sent me home with instructions. Act normal. Don't confront Rachel. Let them investigate." For 3 days, I went through the motions of my regular life while federal agents built a case against my daughter. I watered my plants. I watched my game shows. I answered Rachel's calls and texts like nothing was wrong. "Can you watch Lucas this weekend?" "I have to work." "Of course, sweetie. Can you lend me $500? My car needs repairs." "I'll transfer it this afternoon." Every conversation felt like lying. Every "I love you," she said to me, felt like poison. On the 4th day, Agent Williams called. "We found them." "Found who?" "The real patients. The people who actually had those surgeries. There were 6 of them." Agent Williams showed me their photos and files in her office. Maria Santos, 57, hip replacement, no insurance. Paid Rachel $15,000 cash for a surgery that would have cost her $41,000. James Cooper, 62, gallbladder removal. Lost his insurance when he was laid off. Paid Rachel $10,000 cash for a $28,000 surgery. Linda Washington, 68. Hernia repair. Medicare denied her claim due to a paperwork error. Desperate and in pain. Paid Rachel $12,000 for a $31,000 surgery. Robert Chen, 71, cataract surgery. Wanted both eyes done, but insurance would only cover one. Paid Rachel $8,000 cash to have the second eye done under my name. Patricia Moore, 66, hysterectomy. Had been waiting 2 years for approval from her insurance. In constant pain. Paid Rachel $18,000 for a $47,000 surgery. David Turner, 58, knee replacement. Injured at work, but workers' comp was denying the claim. Needed surgery to keep his job. Paid Rachel $11,000 for a $24,000 surgery. Total Rachel collected $74,000 in cash. Total billed to my Medicare, $193,412. How did she find them? I asked. She worked in billing, Agent Williams explained. She saw everyone who came in with no insurance or whose insurance denied them. She'd approach them in the waiting room or parking lot. Tell them she could help, give them her personal number. The deal was simple. Pay me half price in cash and I'll make sure your surgery happens. No more paperwork. No more denials. No more waiting. And they believed her? They were desperate, Mrs. Patterson. These are people in pain. People who needed medical care and couldn't get it through legitimate channels. Your daughter exploited that desperation. Kevin Chen spoke up. We've interviewed all 6 patients. They had no idea she was using someone else's identity. They thought she had some kind of arrangement with the hospital, a charity program or medical study. They thought what they were doing was, if not legal, at least not harmful to anyone. What happens to them? That depends. They received stolen services technically, but they were also victims of your daughter's fraud. Most likely they'll face civil penalties, not criminal charges. They'll have to set up payment plans for their portion of the surgeries. I thought about Patricia Moore, 66 years old, living with constant pain for 2 years because her insurance company kept denying her. She'd given my daughter $18,000 of her savings just to stop hurting, and Rachel had taken it, had used my identity, my Medicare, and had pocketed the cash without a second thought about the consequences. There's more, Agent Williams said. We found the inside person at the hospital. She showed me a photo of a woman about Rachel's age. Jennifer Marks, she works in medical records. She's the one who falsified all the documentation, made sure the right patient received the surgery, but the wrong name went on all the billing. Your daughter was paying her $5,000 per surgery. So she made $30,000? Yes, we arrested her this morning. She confessed to everything. My daughter had run an entire criminal operation, found desperate patients, made deals for cash, bribed a hospital employee, used my identity to bill Medicare, and pocketed nearly $74,000 in profit, all while still asking me for $2,000 every month. When are you arresting Rachel? I asked. Soon, but there's one more thing we need to address. Agent Williams pulled out a folder. We executed a search warrant on your daughter's apartment this morning while she was at work. We found these. She spread out printed pages. Google search history from Rachel's laptop. How long does insulin overdose take to kill? Insulin injection. Looks natural cause of death if Medicare. Beneficiary dies. Does fraud investigation stop? Life insurance. Payout after suspicious death. Making elderly death look like heart attack. Can they prosecute Medicare fraud if victim is dead? My hands were shaking. She was really going to do it. Yes, Agent Williams' voice was gentle. We believe she was planning to kill you within the next few weeks. Medicare started a routine audit of the claims under your name last month. She would have been notified. She knew time was running out. What do I do? We want to set up a sting. We'll have you invite Rachel over. Tell her you're updating your will. Act like you're not feeling well. We'll have officers nearby. If she tries anything, we'll stop her immediately. I looked at these 2 strangers who were trying to protect me from my own daughter. Okay, I said. Let's do it. They wired my house with cameras and microphones. Hidden in picture frames, smoke detectors, the tissue box on my coffee table. They put a tiny earpiece in my ear so they could communicate with me. Agent Williams and Kevin Chen would be in an unmarked van outside, watching everything. I called Rachel that evening. Tried to keep my voice steady. Hi, sweetheart. Can you come by tomorrow afternoon? I need to talk to you about some things. Legal things? Legal things? Her voice sharpened. What kind of legal things? My will, mostly. And power of attorney. I've been feeling so tired lately, and I want to make sure everything's in order. You know, just in case. Silence. Then, of course, Mom, are you okay? What's wrong? Oh, nothing serious. Just getting older. You know how it is. Can you come around too? I'll be there. The next day felt endless. I barely slept the night before. Agent Williams called at noon to check on me. How are you holding up? I don't know if I can do this. You can. You're stronger than you think. And we're right outside. Nothing will happen to you. I promise. At 1:55, a car pulled into my driveway. Through the window, I watched Rachel get out, carrying a small bag. She knocked. I opened the door. Hi, Mom. She hugged me. She smelled like her usual perfume, the same scent she'd worn since high school. For a moment, she was just my daughter, my little girl. Then I remembered the laptop searches about insulin overdoses, and the moment passed. Come in. Come in. I made tea. We sat in the living room. The tea was on the coffee table, 2 cups. In my ear, Agent Williams' voice. Don't drink anything she gives you. Only drink from the cup you poured yourself. Rachel set her bag down by her feet. So, what did you want to talk about? Well, I've been thinking about my will. Right now, everything's split evenly between you and Marcus. But with all the help I've given you over the years, I want to make sure it's still fair. Her eyes flickered. That's generous of you, Mom. And there's the life insurance. I want to make sure you know where all the papers are. The policy information, the beneficiary forms, all of that. I actually helped you set that up, remember? Last year, $500,000 policy. I'm the beneficiary. My blood chilled. She was admitting it, claiming I'd agreed to it. Oh, that's right. I've been so forgetful lately. Have you? She leaned forward. What else have you been forgetting? Little things. Where I put my keys. Whether I took my medication. I've been having dizzy spells too. This wasn't in the script, but I was building a narrative. The same narrative she'd built in my fake medical records. Forgetful, dizzy, declining health. Maybe you should see a doctor, Rachel said. But her voice sounded different. Eager almost. I've been feeling so tired. I think I just need to rest. I leaned back into the couch, closing my eyes. Maybe I'll just lie down here for a minute. Let me help you to your bedroom, Mom. You'll be more comfortable. In my ear, don't go to the bedroom. Stay in the living room where the cameras can see clearly. No, I'm fine here. Just need to close my eyes for a moment. I heard her move. Heard the zipper of her bag. Through my barely open eyes, I saw her pull something out. A small case. Inside, a vial and a syringe. Mom? She whispered. Are you asleep? I didn't answer. Kept my breathing deep and even. She moved closer. I felt her next to me on the couch. Felt her lift my arm gently, the pinch of a needle sliding into my skin, the pressure of the plunger pushing down. In my ear, Agent Williams's voice. Now, go now. The front door burst open. Footsteps pounding. Shouts of FBI! Don't move! Rachel jumped back, the syringe clattering to the floor. I opened my eyes and sat up. 3 FBI agents and 2 police officers filled my living room. Agent Williams was pointing her gun at Rachel. Rachel Patterson, you're under arrest for attempted murder, Medicare fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Rachel stared at me. Her face went white. Mom? I looked at her. My daughter, my baby girl who I'd rocked to sleep every night, who I'd taught to ride a bike, who I'd helped with homework and heartbreaks and every problem she'd ever faced. What did you inject me with? I asked quietly. She didn't answer. Agent Williams picked up the syringe with gloved hands. Insulin. About 60 units. Enough to send you into severe hypoglycemic shock. Your heart would have stopped within an hour. A paramedic came in and checked me. Drew blood to test how much insulin had entered my system. They said I'd be fine. They'd caught it immediately. Almost nothing had been injected. But if they hadn't been there, if I'd been alone with Rachel, I would have died on my couch while my daughter watched. Mom, please. Rachel's voice broke. I can explain. I wasn't going to. You searched for how to make elderly death look like heart attack, I said. You took out a life insurance policy in my name. You created a fake medical history showing I had heart disease. You stole nearly $200,000 from Medicare using my identity. And you just tried to inject me with enough insulin to kill me. The agent was reading Rachel her rights now. Snapping handcuffs on her wrists. I was desperate, Rachel cried. The audit. Medicare found the claims. They were investigating. I couldn't go to prison. I couldn't lose Lucas. This was the only way. The only way? I stood up, my voice stronger than I'd heard it in years. The only way was to murder your own mother. She started sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I needed the insurance money to run, to start over somewhere with Lucas. I couldn't see another way out. They led her toward the door. She looked back at me one more time. Mom, please. Tell them I didn't mean it. Tell them I wouldn't have gone through with it. I said nothing, because we both knew she would have. The investigation expanded rapidly after Rachel's arrest. Once Jennifer Marks, the hospital records clerk, started cooperating fully to reduce her own sentence, everything unraveled. Rachel had started small about 2 years ago. She'd noticed how many people came into County General needing surgery, but lacking insurance or having claims denied. She saw an opportunity. The first patient was a man needing gallbladder surgery. She approached him in the hospital cafeteria, told him she worked in billing and knew ways to help people in his situation. She charged him $12,000 cash for a surgery that would have cost $30,000. He thought she had connections to some kind of charity fund. She used my identity that first time, my Medicare number, my name. She'd had access to all my information for years after all. The surgery went fine. Medicare paid. Rachel pocketed the cash. And nobody noticed, so she did it again and again. Over 18 months, she ran 6 major surgeries through my Medicare number. She made approximately $74,000 in cash. She paid Jennifer Marks $30,000 for falsifying the records. She kept $44,000 for herself, but it wasn't enough. She'd gotten used to the money, the lifestyle it afforded. She'd spent most of it on a nicer apartment, a newer car, clothes for Lucas, vacations. When Medicare started their audit, she panicked. She knew everything would be discovered. She'd face federal charges, prison time, the loss of her son, so she decided to solve the problem permanently. Kill me, collect the life insurance, and disappear with Lucas before anyone connected the fraud to her. The trial took almost a year. Rachel pleaded not guilty at first, claiming she'd been trying to help people get necessary medical care. Her lawyer painted her as a modern-day Robin Hood, stealing from Medicare to help the poor and uninsured, but the prosecution showed the jury Rachel's bank records. The cash deposits, the expensive purchases, the laptop searches about murder, the life insurance policy, the syringe with my DNA on the needle and her fingerprints on the plunger. The 6 patients she'd helped testified. They explained how she'd approached them, how she'd promised to make their medical problems go away for cash. Several of them cried on the stand, realizing they'd been part of a massive fraud scheme. Jennifer Marks testified in exchange for a reduced sentence. She explained in detail how Rachel would tell her which patient was coming in for surgery, and Jennifer would swap my name and Medicare number into all the billing documentation while keeping the real patient's information in the medical charts. It was a careful, calculated system. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Rachel to 18 years in federal prison. Medicare fraud alone carried up to 10 years. Add attempted murder, identity theft, conspiracy, and forgery, and the sentences stacked up. Jennifer Marks got 8 years as an accomplice. The 6 patients who received surgeries under my identity were ordered to pay restitution, but faced no criminal charges. The prosecutor agreed they'd been victims of Rachel's scheme, even if they'd technically benefited from it. Rachel was led out of the courtroom in shackles. She didn't look at me. Lucas came to live with me. His father, Rachel's ex-husband, had moved to Florida years ago and remarried. He had no interest in raising a son he barely knew, so Lucas became mine to raise. He was 10 years old and completely traumatized. His mother was in prison for trying to kill his grandmother. His entire world had collapsed. The first few months were impossibly hard. He barely spoke. He'd have nightmares and wake up crying. He'd ask me questions I didn't know how to answer. Grandma, did Mom really try to hurt you? Yes, sweetie. She did. But why? I thought people don't hurt their family. Sometimes people make very bad choices when they're scared or desperate. Your mom made bad choices. Do you hate her? I thought about that. Did I hate Rachel? The woman who'd stolen my identity, defrauded Medicare, put 6 innocent people at risk, and tried to murder me? No, I said honestly. I don't hate her. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm sad about who she became. But I don't hate her. Do you still love her? I love the little girl she used to be. I love my memories of being her mother. But I don't love the person she chose to become. Lucas seemed to understand that. We built a routine. Breakfast together every morning. School, then homework at the kitchen table while I made dinner. Reading before bed. On Saturdays, we'd go to the library. On Sundays, we'd bake cookies. I enrolled him in therapy with Dr. Sandra Martinez, a wonderful woman who specialized in childhood trauma. Slowly, very slowly, Lucas started to heal. He started smiling again, making friends at his new school, playing soccer, being a kid. One evening, about 8 months after Rachel's sentencing, Lucas and I were sitting on the back porch watching fireflies. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Grandma?" "Yes, sweetheart." "I'm glad I live with you." My throat tightened. "I'm glad too, Lucas. Do you think Mom's okay in prison?" "I think she's safe. And I hope she's thinking about the choices she made. Will she ever come home? Eventually. In many years, but by then, you'll be grown up." He nodded, watching the fireflies blink in the growing darkness. "That's okay. I like it here with you. It's been 3 years now since that day Rachel tried to inject me with insulin. 3 years since federal agents arrested her in my living room. I'm 72 years old. Lucas is 13. He's taller now, his voice is changing, and he's discovered a love for basketball and terrible jokes. We're doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I spent 2 years working with Medicare to clear my medical records. Every fake procedure had to be flagged, investigated, documented, and removed. My real medical history had to be verified and protected. I have a new Medicare number now with fraud protection. I check my statements religiously. Every single line item, Rachel writes me letters from prison. Not often, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. They're always the same. Apologies mixed with justifications. I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do. I never really wanted to hurt you. I don't write back, but I do save the letters. Someday, when Lucas is older, if he wants to understand what happened to his mother, I'll let him read them. I'll let him decide what he thinks about her choices. Marcus visits more often now. He and his wife and their twin daughters come for Christmas and summer vacations. His girls treat Lucas like a little brother. It's healing for all of us. The house feels full again. Not with the heaviness of Rachel's schemes and lies, but with the lightness of real family. People who choose each other without conditions. Without fraud. Without deadly plans. Sometimes people ask me if I feel guilty. If I regret having my own daughter arrested and sent to prison, and I tell them the truth. No, I don't. Because the alternative was being dead. The alternative was letting Rachel murder me and use that blood money to raise Lucas, teaching him that when you get in trouble, you can just eliminate the problem. That family exists to be used and exploited. By stopping her, by pressing charges, by testifying against her, I saved both of our lives. Mine, literally, and Lucas's future. I showed him that actions have consequences. That love doesn't mean accepting abuse. That even when it's your own child, you don't protect them from justice. Before I finish this story, I need to ask you something important. Have you checked your Medicare statements lately? Do you know what's being billed under your name and number? Do you know who has access to your personal information? Medical identity theft is real. It's growing. And it often comes from people you trust. Family members, friends, people with access to your home, your wallet, your paperwork. Check your statements. Every single one. Look for procedures you didn't have, prescriptions you didn't fill, appointments you didn't attend, and please, subscribe to her side of the story if you haven't already. Share this video. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most, because somewhere out there, there's another mother whose daughter is using her Medicare number, who's billing fraudulent claims, who might be planning something worse, and maybe, just maybe, hearing my story will save her life. Lucas and I are doing well. We're safe. We're healing. And we're proof that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is hold the people you love accountable, even when it breaks your heart. Rachel will be eligible for parole in another 4 years. She'll be 50 years old. Lucas will be 17, nearly an adult himself. I don't know what will happen then. I don't know if Lucas will want to see her or if I'll be able to face her after everything she did. I don't know if she spent these years in prison genuinely reflecting on her choices, or if she's just angry that she got caught. What I do know is this: I'm still here. I'm still standing. And every morning when I wake up in my paid-off house, make breakfast for my grandson, and watch him head off to school with his basketball under his arm, I'm grateful. Grateful I trusted my instincts. That day in the doctor's office when the nurse showed me those impossible medical records. Grateful I didn't confront Rachel immediately and give her a chance to run or destroy evidence. Grateful for Agent Williams and Kevin Chen and every person who helped build the case against my daughter. Grateful that I survived. 6 patients whose surgeries Rachel orchestrated under my name have all reached out to me over the years. Some sent letters apologizing, even though they didn't know they were part of a fraud scheme. Others wanted to explain their desperation, why they'd agreed to Rachel's offer in the first place. I responded to each one with the same message. You were victims too. I hope you're healing. Maria Santos, the woman who got the hip replacement, sends me a Christmas card every year. She's doing well, she says. Still making payments on the surgery, but at least she can walk without pain. She includes photos of her grandchildren. Patricia Moore, who had the hysterectomy after 2 years of suffering, included a check for $500 with her letter. I know it's not much compared to what the surgery cost, she wrote, but I want to start making this right. I sent the check back. She'd already paid $18,000 to my daughter. She didn't owe me anything more. These weren't bad people. They were desperate people who'd been failed by an impossibly expensive healthcare system. And my daughter had exploited that desperation for profit. In a strange way, Rachel had been right about one thing. The medical billing system is broken. People do go bankrupt over hospital bills. Insurance companies do deny necessary procedures. There are thousands of people every day choosing between medical care and financial ruin. But Rachel's solution, stealing, fraud, exploitation, and eventually attempted murder, wasn't the answer. It never is. Last month, I did something I'd been avoiding for 3 years. I drove to the federal women's prison where Rachel is serving her sentence. I didn't tell her I was coming. I didn't request a visit. I just needed to see the place, to know where my daughter was, to make it real in my mind. The prison is 2 hours north of Columbus, surrounded by farmland and tall fences topped with razor wire. It looks exactly like you'd imagine a prison would look. Gray, cold, institutional. I sat in my car in the visitor parking lot for almost an hour, just staring at the building. Somewhere inside those walls was my daughter, the little girl I'd rocked to sleep, the teenager I'd taught to drive, the young mother I'd supported through her divorce, the woman who'd tried to kill me. A guard walking past my car tapped on the window. "Ma'am, are you here to visit someone?" I shook my head. No. I drove home and didn't tell anyone where I'd been. Lucas asked about his mother last week. It was the first time in months. "Grandma, do you think Mom thinks about me?" We were doing dishes together. He was washing, I was drying. Normal life. Normal questions. I'm sure she does, sweetheart. Every day. Does she know I'm okay? Marcus sends her updates through the prison system. Photos sometimes. She knows you're doing well. He scrubbed a plate in silence for a moment. I don't think I want to see her. When she gets out. Is that bad? My heart ached for him. No, Lucas, that's not bad. That's honest. You get to decide what relationship you want with your mother. Nobody else gets to make that choice for you. Not even you? Not even me, he nodded, visibly relieved. Good. Because I don't think I can forgive her for trying to hurt you. I put down my dish towel and hugged him. This boy who'd lost his mother to prison, who'd been uprooted from his entire life, who'd had to process trauma no child should face. You don't have to forgive her, Lucas. Not now. Not ever if you don't want to. Forgiveness isn't something you owe people. It's something you give when you're ready, if you're ever ready. Did you forgive her? I thought about that question. Really thought about it. No, I said honestly. I haven't. Maybe someday I will. But right now, I'm still too angry about what she did. And that's okay. He hugged me tighter. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweetheart. They tell you that family is everything. That blood is thicker than water. That you should forgive and forget because life is short and grudges are heavy. But what they don't tell you is that sometimes family is the most dangerous place to be. That the people who know you best are the ones who know exactly how to hurt you. That forgiveness isn't mandatory, and protecting yourself isn't selfish. My daughter didn't just commit Medicare fraud. She didn't just steal nearly $200,000 from the government. She didn't just exploit 6 desperate people who needed medical care. She tried to murder me. She researched how to do it. She planned it. She took out a life insurance policy. She created a fake medical history to make my death look natural. She bought insulin. She filled a syringe, and she injected it into my arm while I lay on my couch, trusting her because she was my daughter, if federal agents hadn't been watching. If I'd been alone with her that day, I would be dead, and Rachel would have collected $500,000, told Lucas that Grandma had a heart attack, and gone on with her life. That's not a mistake. That's not desperation. That's calculated, cold-blooded attempted murder. So when people ask me if I feel guilty about sending my own daughter to prison, I think about that moment. The pinch of the needle, the pressure of the plunger, the knowledge that she was killing me and she wasn't going to stop, and I feel no guilt at all. I've learned a lot in these 3 years. About myself, about trust, about the difference between helping someone and enabling them. For years before the fraud, I'd been giving Rachel $2,000 a month. For years, I'd been her safety net, her solution to every problem, her escape from every consequence. I thought I was being a good mother. I thought I was helping. But what I was actually doing was teaching her that she never had to be responsible, that Mom would always bail her out, that there were no real consequences because Grandma's checkbook was always open. I enabled her right up until she decided that checkbook wasn't enough anymore, that she needed more, that the easiest way to get more was to kill me and take everything. I won't make that mistake with Lucas. He has chores. He has responsibilities. When he wants something expensive, he saves his allowance or finds ways to earn extra money. When he makes a mistake, we talk about it and he faces appropriate consequences. I'm teaching him what I failed to teach Rachel, that actions have consequences. That money isn't infinite, that people aren't ATMs, that love means holding each other accountable, not protecting each other from reality, and so far, it's working. Lucas is responsible, honest, hardworking, kind. He's nothing like his mother. And I'm grateful for that every single day. Last night, I had a dream about Rachel. Not the Rachel who tried to kill me, but the little girl she used to be. She was maybe 7 years old, missing her 2 front teeth, wearing her favorite purple dress. She was showing me a picture she'd drawn, our family holding hands under a rainbow. "Look, Mommy, it's us." And in the dream, I hugged her tight and told her I was proud of her. I woke up with tears on my face. I think I needed that dream. Needed to remember that the woman in prison wasn't born a criminal. She was once a little girl who drew rainbows and believed in magic. Somewhere along the way, she got lost, made wrong choices, chose shortcuts over hard work, chose exploitation over honesty, chose murder over accountability. I don't know when it happened. I don't know if there was a specific moment where she changed or if it was gradual. 1,000 small compromises that eventually led to her standing over me with a syringe full of insulin. What I do know is that I can mourn the little girl she used to be while still holding the woman she became accountable. Both things can be true. If you're still watching this, if you've stayed with me through this entire story, I want to thank you. I know it's not an easy story to hear. It's not an easy story to tell, but it's important. Because medical identity theft is happening right now. To someone's mother, someone's grandmother, someone who trusts their family members with their personal information. And healthcare fraud schemes like Rachel's are happening in hospitals across the country. Desperate people are being exploited. Medicare is being defrauded, and often nobody notices until it's too late. So please, one more time, check your Medicare statements, check your medical records, protect your personal information, even from family members, and subscribe to Her Side of the Story if you haven't already. These stories matter. Your awareness matters. Your vigilance might save a life. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. Tell me if this story resonated with you. Tell me if you've checked your statements lately. because every comment, every share, every subscription helps these stories reach the people who need them most. It's evening now. Lucas is upstairs doing homework. I can hear his music playing softly through the ceiling. Some rapper I don't know, but the beat is catchy. In a few minutes, I'll call him down for dinner. We're having spaghetti tonight, his favorite. After dinner, we'll watch a basketball game together. He's been trying to teach me the rules, though I still don't quite understand what traveling means. This is my life now. Simple, quiet, peaceful. No fraud, no schemes, no daughters planning my murder in the next room. Just a grandmother and her grandson building a life together from the ruins of what came before. And you know what? That's enough. More than enough. At 72 years old, I've learned that peace is worth more than any amount of money. That safety is priceless. That sleeping soundly at night, knowing nobody in your house is plotting your death, is a gift I'll never take for granted again. Rachel took a lot from me. My trust, my sense of security, my belief that family would never hurt me, nearly $200,000 of Medicare money, and very nearly my life. But she didn't take everything. She didn't take my home. She didn't take my strength. She didn't take my ability to love and protect Lucas. And she didn't take my future. I'm still here, still standing, still fighting. And I'll be here for Lucas for as long as he needs me. To show him what real love looks like. To teach him that family means supporting each other, not exploiting each other. To prove that trust is something you earn through actions, not something owed because of blood. So that's my story. That's how I discovered my daughter was running a Medicare fraud scheme, using my identity to sell surgeries to desperate patients, pocketing nearly $75,000 in cash, and planning to murder me to cover it all up. That's how federal agents wired my house and watched my daughter inject me with insulin intended to stop my heart. That's how I testified against my own child and watched her get sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. And that's how I ended. Up raising my grandson in the house where his mother once tried to kill me. It's not the ending I would have chosen. It's not the family story I imagined when I first held Rachel as a newborn baby 46 years ago. But it's the truth. And sometimes the truth is ugly and painful and doesn't have a happy ending where everyone forgives each other and holds hands under a rainbow. Sometimes the truth is that someone you love becomes someone you don't recognize, someone dangerous, someone who sees you as an obstacle instead of a mother. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is accept that truth and choose to survive anyway. I chose to survive. I chose Lucas. I chose myself. And I would make the same choice every single time. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. And please be safe out there. Check your statements. Protect your information. Trust carefully. And remember, love your family, but verify everything. Support your children, but not at the cost of your own safety. And never, ever assume that someone wouldn't hurt you just because you share the same DNA. Because my daughter proved that blood means nothing when someone decides you're worth more dead than alive. Lucas and I are living proof that you can survive betrayal this deep, that you can rebuild after everything falls apart, that you can create a new family from the ashes of the old one. We're doing more than surviving now. We're thriving, and that's the best revenge of all.